Welcome to the podcast of CreateConnectConvert.co, a community of empowered businesswomen by empowered businesswomen. Let's dig in.
We're back for another week of chit chat about some of the funnest topics in entrepreneurship. So today I am joined by my usual cohort here. Would everyone like to go around and say a little bit about your business? Laura, start with you.
So, welcome back. I'm Laura Templeton with 30 Second Success, inspiring people to communicate more effectively with the right message that attracts the clients they deserve. And Regina, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day. Okay. I am a digital marketing manager, digital marketing educator, and I primarily work in the design and construction fields. And I either help you manage your marketing or teach you how to do it yourself. So thank you. All right, Christy, you're up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christy Crippen. I'm a virtual administrator. I work with overwhelmed entrepreneurs and small business owners to help take them away from those feelings of overwhelm and bring you into feelings of overjoy in your business. And we do this by looking at brainstorming and collaboration, productivity, time management, organization, habits, accountability. And I work with my clients on in a very holistic way, because you are so much more than who you are as a professional. Thank you. Carolyn, back to you.
I am Carolyn Choate, and I am a funnel nut job. I love funnels so much. So that is why today I am leading the discussion, because we are going to talk about nurturing your leads through your funnel. As we have probably talked about before, a funnel is called that for a few reasons, but one of them is that at each stage, it gets a little bit smaller. Fewer and fewer people are making it all the way to the end of the funnel where the actual payments and purchases happen. So the more people you can fill at the top of your funnel, the more people will make it to the end, but there is going to be drop off along the way. However, today's topic is a way that we can see a minimum amount of drop off from the nurturing, guiding, leading, helping people to get from that top to the bottom. Some people, it's just not the right fit for them. But some people, there are other reasons why they might not be making it to the end of your funnel. So let's talk about that and get those funnels working more efficiently. Are there any particular methods that you all are using to help foster the relationship that you have with the people who join your email lists?
Jump in on this. I like to speak to my audience about their pain points, and how to help alleviate those pain points. So when they join my email list, they join my newsletter list as well, which is a weekly newsletter. And so every Friday I talk about, hey, there's this pain point in marketing. Here's how you can alleviate it. Here's 3 tips. I'm very much a tips person, and a guidance person. So that's how, and I hear back from a lot, I always end it with like a call to action, like, did this resonate with you? Is there anything else that you do? That because I'm always learning, and if you have a different way, I'd love to know it. So, it's kind of like a back and forth between me and my audience, and I love that.
And I hear good things about your email list. I think it's very popular. We'll like to have that sense of community in there. What about you, Laura? What are you doing to foster more nurturing in your funnels?
So one of the things, and you know me, I love connecting with people. So my biggest thing, and I sometimes I fall off because we know when I get into create mode, I kind of shut down and close everything out. But the most important thing, and one of the things that I've learned from you, Carolyn, is setting up those workflows, right? When somebody comes in to your network, you need to make sure that you have a workflow that's set up that nurtures that person. Whether it is a newsletter, like Regina does an amazing job with her newsletter. I love her newsletter. I want to be Regina someday when it comes to writing newsletters. That being said, I don't always get to do my newsletter, so I'm very inconsistent with it. And it's one of those things that I try to make more of an effort to do on a regular basis when I'm in that action mode. Automating makes a huge difference. You've taught me how to set up the workflows for a lot of the things that I felt were broken in my systems, in my automation, like making sure that once somebody goes through a funnel where they've downloaded something, all right, so where do they go next? Right. There was always like, oh, they get to the end of the funnel and oh, we're done. Right. No, that's not it. You need to continue to nurture those people, make sure that you're dripping on them, whether it's through email or having a call with them, invite them to have a call with you. I love connecting with people and having conversations. Another way I like to nurture my network is by jumping into the DMs in social media, right? I love sending people messages. I make a point to, on the daily, at least send one message to someone that's in my network on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn primarily for my social media. And that keeps me connected. That keeps me nurturing that relationship. So sometimes it's not the written word that is nurturing them. It's actually speaking to them, right? Inviting them to have a call or connecting or following up on something that they shared with me. I think that is very valuable as well. A lot of people see a funnel as more of a written funnel, but we have to remember picking up the phone.
Some
I'm like,
people do that.
the
Some of
phone.
us are millennials.
Yeah. I know you millennials don't like answering your
Oh,
phone.
no phone.
I have two millennials in my household. Trust, well, not in my household, but in my family. That it's easier for me to text. I had to learn how to text because of my kids. You know how that is. But yeah, and that's a really great point that you have, Carolyn, because sometimes we need to communicate with people the way they like to be communicated with.
This is all a matter of the empathy of putting yourself in the shoes of who you're trying to reach, your ideal client. I like to sort of picture an imaginary person that I am speaking to, thinking of, and thinking, okay, so they know nothing about me. What are they thinking now? What do they need now? A lot of times I tell people if the first thing you're doing is offering them a call, that's too much. Probably. Again, depends on your ideal client. But I liken that to like if you're going to a department store and you just want to browse, but this sales lady keeps coming over and being like, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? I'm not ready for a conversation yet. Just let me look. But maybe your ideal client feels supported when it's like, yes, get on a call with me right away. So it's all about thinking about who are they and what is going to make them feel like connected and knowing what to do next. I don't want to miss you, Christy. Do you have thoughts about nurturing?
I feel like my response is going to be kind of a blend of what all of you have said. When I started really in earnestly in terms of my communications, I started sending out a newsletter, and I did it once a month. Generally speaking, it was the first Saturday of the month. And then I will be very honest, and I'm sure that there are a lot of our wonderful listeners who can probably relate to what I'm about to say. I have not sent a newsletter out since January of last year. So we are recording this February 2025. I needed to take a step back in 2024 and really do a deep dive into my business, but also into myself. How had I evolved and grown and changed as a business owner? How was I showing up? Was it the right way to show up? How was I expressing myself? And so I'm in the process of reformatting my newsletter and strategizing around all of that and taking everything that I've learned and become aware of and then incorporating that into my newsletter. But for me, I just love the word nurturing. I think that when someone embodies that quality, for me, that's magic. Because how often are we struggling through something? And when you're struggling through something, you feel alone, you feel isolated, you feel like you're on an island by yourself. So to have someone who's nurturing, then you feel like you can let your guard down and you can take the armor off and say, you know what? Funny that. I really am struggling with that. Could you help me? Or let me learn more about the services you offer. So for me, it's about having those conversations with people. So many of the people who are on my newsletter list, I know them through networking. So I'll shoot them a text, I'll shoot them an email, I'll give them a quick call and just say, hey, what's going on in your business and how can I support you? And who do you need an introduction to and what's new? So that's part of it. I think also knowing different personality styles, like, if you're extroverted versus introverted. I think it was Regina who talked about the pain points. Really knowing your clients, your prospective clients, when they're laying in bed at night staring up at the ceiling, what kinds of things are going through their heads?
Mm.
So when I write, it's about my goal is always that they feel heard and understood. But it's almost like they have confided in me to say, oh, this is the stuff that's keeping me awake and preventing me from getting a good night's sleep. So that they can recognize that, oh, she gets me and I want to have a conversation with her.
Mm.
And you're talking about this like through your funnel, like through the different automations that come through your funnel and then after as well.
Right, right. And something that I really want to do for my business now that I am going into that next phase is I want to have that conversation with Carolyn to look at, this is what I've been doing. What's missing? What are those new pieces that I can introduce that would have,
And one of the things that this brings up to me is it's easy to think of funnels and automations as impersonal, as not nurturing, as not personalized enough. And so we tend to take on a lot and do one-on-one reaching out, and your business can't grow if you're, sending out the welcome email and the lead magnet manually yourself every time. So when your heart is in the right place, I think your automations can absolutely still be personal and nurturing. And I think it helps to look at it as freeing up some time for you to be helping people in a more meaningful way instead of doing this work that the automations can take care of. So it's like having a VA, a low-level VA, working for you who doesn't go to sleep and does not need to be fed and cannot think independently like Christy can. You definitely need a Christy also, but can do that stuff that's like, we don't really need a human being doing this part. It can, like, let's let the human beings do the part that they are really, really excellent at and not waste their time with these bits and pieces of the tech.
that's such a great point.
So definitely you can still be nurturing people, and there's things like putting in those names where your email can automatically fill in the name of the person that it's emailing to. And I like those. I think we're all aware that that's not being done actually personally, but it's very jarring when you get one of those when it's not your name or where it's like, hello, name here. So I would encourage everybody to check all of your templates and things that are getting sent out. Send yourself through your funnel to make sure that everything is properly connected up so that's not happening. And even thinking as far as, I had a form where, like, okay, the email is needed, I'm not going to require the name. Well, if I'm not going to require the name, then I'm not going to have any of those tags in there, to say your name here, because then if somebody doesn't put their name, they're going to get one of those weird generic things that just feels eh. So yeah, just thinking through each step of that process and what it feels like and looks like for the person who's experiencing it.
You know something, Carolyn? I agree with you on that. I know that there's science behind, hi Regina, and making it feel personalized, but I am so concerned about the hi name here, or the name of my company is Right Brain Loves Left. Many times I put that as my name instead of my actual name. So it's like, hi, Right Brain, and it's like, oh, or, hi, Right. And it's like, okay. So I forego those and just say hi, or hi, everyone. That's usually what I put. So is that right or wrong in your mind? So what do
No,
you
I don't believe in right and
in terms
wrong.
of nurturing?
I only believe in right and wrong for your audience and your business.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's plenty of people who are marketers who want to say, like, this is what you have to do. This is the way. This is how you do this and that. And I have a much more fluid approach to things. And I think that everything is personal to
Hmm.
to your unique situation. So there is no right or wrong answer there. And I think that you've made a good choice because, yeah, I think it's better. Personally, I would choose not to have it rather than have it turn out wrong. And there's lots of ways that you can't control it turning out wrong. So leaving it off is just fine. Maybe throw it in every once in a while. Sometimes when you have a subject line that you really, really want to grab attention, it can be something like that. But I got one yesterday that was like, hello, Juliet. That is not my name. That's not a name I've ever gone by. It's not a pen name. I have no idea where that came from. And I have to be honest, it did make me think a little less of the business. So yeah, maybe leave them out.
I've actually made that mistake, like where I've actually like been sending emails out to people and I just cut and paste or I copy and paste from one email, move it over, and then I change the name of who it's to. And a couple of times I've forgotten to change the name and
Oh, maybe
realized
they
it
had to do it
afterwards and went,
manually.
I'm so sorry. I meant this for you. It was, and I realized that I didn't I put the wrong name on it. Or I meant to send this to you and to someone else. And I put their name for, I had you guys mixed up or, like really quick. I'm like, how you read an email after you hit send?
Absolutely, I do
Yeah,
that.
no, like not before. Like just read it before you send it. I'm like,
I know an email
learn from
system that's like, are you sure this is?
Well, now like
are you
Gmail stops me if I've used the word like attached or included. They're like, I noticed that you said attached and there's nothing attached. Is that on purpose?
Yeah.
that's so nice.
Yeah.
Right? Again,
Oh,
we're living in such an interesting time where like technology is very creepy, but very convenient and helpful.
yes. Yes.
So yeah, finding this balance in all the things between
Hmm.
efficient and personal, convenient and creepy. Like we're walking this razor edge in business all the time. So you just have to figure out where is that line for you. Some people are far more comfortable with things like, fake deadlines that don't really exist or trying to use tricks to get people to open things. And I know all of us hate that. Um, but sometimes what I would think of as like, that's not that bad is something that somebody else is like, so unethical. So it really,
I do like the deadlines though. As long as they exist,
yeah, if it's a
so
real deadline,
right.
yes.
So and there's, platforms that help you make it a real deadline. So if they're saying, if you're saying this offer is going to expire in 48 hours, in 48, there's software that in 48 hours that link doesn't exist anymore for you. So I really do like that. And I think that that does help because there's many times when I have been thinking of something and then they're like, tonight's the night. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but if they had let me just keep thinking, or I'll deal with that next week, and
Mhm.
whoever it is might have missed a sale and I might have missed something that I really needed. So I do like the deadlines. I think psychologically help, you know, I don't want to say the
I
word
do.
pressure,
And I
but
think
it helps.
reasonably, yeah, it can go too far when it's just done in order to pressure people, but it
Mm.
doesn't have to be done that way. I've definitely had those like sales call conversations where it's like they will not let you go until you say yes. I'm like, this is not okay. But yeah, a deadline that helps you like, okay, you really need to make your decision now. Like I'm not going to tell you you have to get this, but if you want it, now is the time.
Yep.
And that's another
It's
place where
interesting.
technology can also help you to not have to be like, let me set an alarm on my phone so I remember to turn off that link at the exact right moment. Let it take care of it for you. What was that, Laura?
That's one of the things. Well, one of the things I absolutely love, I follow Brendan Burchard's marketing podcast, and one of the things that he talks about all the time is your deadline's your deadline. And whether it's a deadline that your bonuses go away, he said, your price should be your price. Don't play with your price, right? Don't keep adjusting it over time. Your price is your price. But put some really great bonuses to it that the bonuses go away over time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a brilliant concept to really tap into. Like his bonuses when he'll offer the same product a year, 2 years from now, but the bonuses will be different.
Mm-hmm.
And he structures it that way because he doesn't want to feel like he's being inauthentic or dishonest or playing with people's emotions. Like if you like his bonuses, you're going to want to sign up for it before the bonuses go away. And when his bonuses go away, they go away. He doesn't go, oh, guess what? We've extended it 5 more days. And then 5 days goes by. We've extended it for another 5 days. Like those make me
Yeah,
crazy. And
those
I
are
usually
so
I
wrong.
usually unsubscribe to those people like really quick when they do, oh, we've extended it, we've extended it, we've extended it. I did that once or twice and it did not feel good. It didn't feel good, right? I felt like I was being deceptive. And I'm like, yeah, not doing that again. So following Brendan's advice really made sense to me.
You're
Yeah.
being inauthentic. When we do that, we're being inauthentic to ourselves. And we feel like we're letting ourselves down. And then we question what is the public perception to that. But then if we draw that line in the sand and say, no, today's the day, and then we adhere to it, it feels different energetically within us.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's different for the people who are receiving it as well, because if they missed this one, they know that the next one, that's it.
Yeah.
So that, like you were saying, Laura, to piggyback, it's something where you got to take action or you miss it. So
Or the people who did take action and then they're like, well, now you're just giving it to other people. Like I
right,
did what you told me to
right.
do, and now I'm getting yeah.
You
That's
got
a
to
really
be
good point.
careful about
I
what
followed
you
the rules, darn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I hope that everyone is able to see that a funnel can be nurturing and personal and guide people. I think to me, that's always the most important part of what a funnel does. I like to say that you're leading somebody through the crazy jungly woods of the internet, and you have to hold their hand and guide them along. And if you just like forget to tell them what to do next or what the next step is, it's like you just abandoned them in this woods and said, okay, good luck. Hope to see you later. Try to find my website. Okay, bye. So it's like part of the nurturing is laying out those steps. And like Laura said earlier, the call to action, the what to do next, so that nobody feels like you just let them wander and get lost. Are there any other thoughts that anyone wants to share about nurturing and funnels?
I I I love the idea of nurturing them through and having that call to action. Um, but also, if you're talking, if we can go back at the very beginning of that funnel and what your lead magnet is,
Mm.
um, that also comes into nurturing that particular lead magnet, and just making sure that it has what it promises, because I have had some lead magnets where I'm like, oh, this is great. And I download it and it's just like one page of tips that I already had or I already knew. So, so if you can make it a robust lead magnet, one that also nurtures your audience and gives them a taste of what you can do and doesn't disappoint them from the get-go, I
Mm.
think that goes a long way into the remaining emails that they get from your funnel.
That
You know,
is a great, great point. Yeah. And people think of the lead magnet. I think some business owners are reluctant to give something really good because they want that to be paid for. And they think, oh, freebies. Oh, there's going to be people who are just tire kickers and they're never going to buy anything. And I hate to see that mindset because when people sign up to get something to their email, like, they're giving you their email address. That's like internet gold. That is currency. They're giving you something so valuable. So give them something so valuable in return. It's thinking long term, which is also part of nurturing. It's like I'm not trying to make a quick buck here. I'm trying to build a relationship with the right people who really want what I'm doing. And that comes into also choosing the right type of lead magnet. Again, thinking about who your ideal client is. We had, one of our friends that I worked with has her target client is extraordinarily busy, has so much going on. And so when we talked about, well, are we going to send them like an audio meditation? They don't have time for that. Maybe if they want that like later on, we're going to start with email tips and like you can read this and implement this tip in 10 seconds. Like really, really, really short to the point because we're thinking about who do we want on our email list, who's going to be the right client for us. And this is part of their experience and what that they need. So you're looking to draw in the right people with something that is actually super valuable to them. And like you said, Regina, delivers what you said it will deliver. Absolutely. That is like, if you're not delivering what you said you would, then you definitely started off on a really bad foot.
I think there's something really key that you just said there, and it's a touch point that I was actually thinking about. Being very intentional about who you're inviting onto your list. Because sometimes we can have an email list that's no longer like the people that are on the list either A aren't opening our content, they're not interested, they're just not they're the tire kickers, right? And or our businesses have elevated or have grown to the point that we're starting to attract a different client. And now the email list feels heavy because there's a lot of people on there that just aren't engaging. So are you suggesting, and this is what I got from that conversation you just had with Regina, are you suggesting that the lead magnets that we are developing should be focused on who we want to attract to our business? And then how do we then call our list so that we make sure that we're working with a list that, because sometimes we have to pay to send all those emails out, right? So if you're sending a lot of emails to people that are never even opening it and you're paying for it, how do you then call that list to make sure that it is a good list?
You ask people if they're still interested. Yeah. So step one
Easy as that.
yes, your lead magnet should be something that is a magnet to the people that are going to love your emails and what you do and are going to be super interested. You don't need to appeal to everybody because that's just going to clog it up and not be helpful. So that's sort of the purpose of the lead magnet, is to magnetize the right people onto your email list. But like you said, over time, as things change and develop, there's no harm in sending it out an email that says, if you're still interested, click this link. I don't want to be clogging up your inbox if you don't want to hear from me, something like that. again, with automation, can very easily be done where somebody just, if they don't respond to it, they get taken off the list. So you're not.
Right, you're gonna have to teach me how to do that one.
There,
I
you know, there's a
see a new YouTube video in the works.
there's a blogger that I saw speak of quite a few years ago, and her email platform actually told her who had opened and who hadn't over time. And so she actually culled her own list every half a year. And so if they hadn't opened her emails for, like, let's say the last 5, 7 times, she took them off the list. So
Nice.
yes, because you're paying for that. I do have to go back to something that Carolyn said, and I'm like, I would not mind an audio um lead magnet. I really wouldn't. I'd be like, that's kind of nice. I can listen to it on the go. So, and it's unusual.
If Regina's your ideal client, start making some audio stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're on the go, or they're like, my audience sometimes is on scaffolds all day long. Not that it's good to listen to stuff while you're on scaffolds, always practice. But
Driving to a work site, put it on the radio, right?
exactly.
Yep. And you can choose to call your list. I want to warn you that this, again, is a long-term game, and there are people who are not ready to purchase from you, and they are going to be ready to purchase from you 5 years from now, and you don't want to have gotten rid of them. So you do have to keep that in mind, which is why I like the asking people if they still want to be on there and taking them off if they don't respond. But you can, set up things to show like who is engaged, who is actually show response. What's that, Christy?
One thing I wanted to mention, I just thought of, with our email providers, they're always changing the algorithms, for the firewalls and the safety. I can't tell you how many times I've been on someone's email list, and then all of a sudden I stopped getting their emails, or the emails were coming into my inbox, and now for whatever reason they're coming into my junk email, and I did nothing to it. And so I remember I said something to my husband about that, and he said that sometimes the company, the provider, they will change the algorithm to such a way that now it's not getting in anymore. And
also happens from the people that the other people on the email list. So this is another good reason to cull your list, because if you have people that report you as spam, the rest of the emails to the list that does want to hear from you is going to start getting it to their junk inbox. So when you start seeing your newsletters appearing in the junk, a lot of times that means that other people on their list have started reporting them as spam. So you don't want that to happen. Anything to avoid that. Sorry, I cut you off, Christy. You were not finished.
no, I just had something happen a couple days ago where I have another email account, and I have things coming into that, and then I have it set up so that it flows into my personal email account. And I noticed that this was months ago, where these emails came right into the inbox, and then for whatever reason started going into the junk. And then a couple days ago, I thought, I was checking the other email account, and I thought, gosh, I really want to keep this one. This is so meaningful. This is something that I would go read again for inspiration. And I kept trying to forward it to myself, and it wouldn't work. And so then there was this huge delay. And then I think later on in the day, or the next day, when I went back into the email again, I always check the inbox twice a day. There were error messages in there, and I'm like, okay, well, that explains why I didn't get the email, but what was the reason why? And it said that it was an unverified sender. And I'm thinking, this can't be, because this person is a verified sender. So
yeah, well, that gets into like, there's a lot that we can look into and research about this, but like it is suspicious to your email provider if you get an email from yourself, because it's pretty rare. Sometimes we do send emails to ourselves to remind ourselves of things, but that can be a trick that a scammer is using. So that's one of the flags that goes up. Like, Did you really email yourself?
I see.
But we
Good
should
point.
wrap it up there.
Okay.
And if anybody listening has thoughts about this topic, we would love to hear it. So let us know. Yeah, leave a comment. Let's have a discussion, and we'll talk to you all again real soon.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of CreateConnectConvert.co. We hope you're feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to make your next bold move. Remember, the journey doesn't end here. Head over to CreateConnectConvert.co to download our latest resources, sign up for our upcoming events, or hop on the wait list for our exclusive mastermind community. There's a seat at the table waiting just for you. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to click like and subscribe. We'll see you back here next week to dive into another game-changing conversation. And here's a little something to carry you until then. Keep creating, keep connecting, and never stop converting your dreams into reality.